Hello, listeners. Hello, viewers. It's time for the Talking Parra podcast and a very special Talking Parra podcast. It is the grand final edition of the Talking Parra podcast. We are all excited to talk about last week's win against the Cowboys, the preliminary final. Half of us was up there, half of us was at the Leeds Club, but we're even more excited to talk about the 2022 grand final versus the Panthers, as everyone's calling it, the Battle of the West. You hear it 1,000 times. But anyway, let's introduce the team. We've got Hayden from the Entertain House. We've got Matty Tate from Tate Sports Cards. You have myself, Troy, from the Parra Cave podcast. And you have our illustrious host, Mr. Adam Martin. Adam, where are you from, mate? Take it away.
I'm from Thornton, actually, Troy, so I'll throw that out there.
Adam Martin from Thornton. Take it away.
Yeah, I've done a bit of radio stuff up this way, actually, this week, and they keep introducing me as Adam from Thornton. So, look, who would have thought we'd be here? As you said, pretty exciting, grand final week. It's funny, hard to believe, and funny because I could have sworn that everyone said in round 22 our season was finished. We were done. We got beat 26-0 by South Sydney. We were done. We weren't going to make it. We were just making up the numbers in the finals. It was a two-horse race, wasn't it? Wasn't it Melbourne and is that the team? Melbourne and Penrith, the two-horse race? Yeah, so how'd that go? So once again, our good folks there at Fox League and everywhere else bagged us out. Typical Parramatta Hayes, but here we are. Grand final. We've got another episode in us. We just keep going. We're like Lost. We just run way too many episodes. But anyway, we'll see how we go. Look, let's start with last week. It was everything, wasn't it? It had Hayden fainting. It had Adam crying. It had half the bay crying. It had, I'm sore, I'm bruised. It's taken me a few days to recover. We're out celebrating at 3 a.m. and I've got a bruise probably yay big on my leg from being pushed off the Jonathan Thurston statue. But would I do it all again? I would. I would do it all again. It was a wonderful experience. I sweated for 3 days straight. I carried a drum for 2 days straight, and I actually could not move my arm above here for pretty much till yesterday. So I went to the gym yesterday. So what an experience.
For the listeners listening, that's above his shoulder where he's raising his arm.
I've had 3 shoulder surgeries. So I really, Hayden saw me struggling towards the end and started taking over a bit, didn't you, Hayden? Because I was
absolutely mate. The whole Saturday, Sunday, this arm was so sore from banging that drum all night long and then all day in the morning. Obviously, we partied at I forget the name of the place.
Yeah, you need to say that, Matt. You're losing it. Yep, keeping it professional. Yep. All right, Hayden, I'll go to you first. You're obviously there, Townsville, Friday night. Kick us off. Thoughts, moments, anything you want to special mention to?
Yeah, it was a huge game, a huge fight back into the contest as well. We've seen it a couple times this season where we've fallen behind in games, and I've mentioned it all season that mentality of the boys has kind of been there, but obviously being a preliminary final, this was our biggest comeback victory yet. In that first half, we had quite a bit of possession given to the Cowboys towards the end, but we had a scoreline reflecting us leading. I disagreed with the penalty on half time. I don't think Junior Paulo ranked the ball out. I don't agree with too many refereeing decisions in regards to the game. I know a lot of other people do, which we'll speak about later, I think. But yeah, it was a massive fight back to get back in that second half. Both teams really performed for a prelim, great quality, great atmosphere. The Cowboys fans got really loud, but we tried to compete with them with that drum. And at moments we had Cowboys fans trying to shut us up, but they couldn't shut us up all night.
Yeah, they couldn't. Yeah, I'll quickly touch on that as well. We obviously, surrounded, it was a Parramatta Bay, but the Cowboys fans kind of bought tickets where they were. So I'd say in that area, there's probably about 300 Parramatta fans, give or take. Kind of congregate around there, getting as close as they can. And look, I'll say now at 20-12, I started to believe them. They were telling us we were done. I was watching the team and we were playing that catch-up footy when we kind of didn't need it. But we were playing catch-up footy when we were up 12-10 or whatever it was. It was just silly. Some of the style we played. And I said, we didn't know at halftime that Mitch has had a baby. So I said, Mitch is off. He's choking. And you read the headlines. They've said for years, Mitchell Moses can't handle big game pressures and stuff. And I sat there generally at halftime and I said to Hayden, I said to Joe next to me, I said, he's choking. And then I come back from the toilet And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But I come back from the toilet. I'm just going to tell it. It's a fucking adventure they're going to the toilet, isn't it, Hayden? Did you
I
go?
didn't go. No, I didn't go.
You got to go.
I didn't even go.
go.
No, I didn't even go. I didn't even have a beverage of sorts. You got me a water, but besides that, I didn't even get to explore Townsville besides the lap we did with the drum.
Yeah, you had to actually walk out of our bay upstairs. Then you had to walk all the way downstairs and back under the toilet. You wouldn't want to be pissed.
Sounds like that.
After the Eels Panthers game, I heard a few of the Panthers fans from the week before complaining to Thurston. And Thurston's like, I didn't design the stadium. Like,
honestly, I felt like Frodo. I was going on Frodo, whatever his name is. I was going on an adventure. Well, Frodo, that's how much Lord of the Rings I watch. But no, honestly, I had a good moment in the toilet. I'll get back on track soon. I had a good moment in the toilet because it was just after that penalty you mentioned about the regrip. I said, all right, guys, no one let go of their doodle. I didn't say doodle, but I'm saying it for the podcast. I said, you can't regrip anymore. And everyone thought that was pretty funny in the toilet. I don't know how we made it out of Townsville alive. I'll say that. But look, we had fun. We copped a lot of banter. So I was sitting there thinking we're done at 20-12. The Army boys next to us are saying use are done. I let them know they were drinking girly drinks. And to the credit of 85% of the Cowboys fans, they're actually pretty good sports. On the way out, they said to us, we hope you beat Penrith or South next week. We don't care who you play. We'll jump on your bandwagon. I think I said to them, we'd feel the same. If yous would have won that game, we would have wanted yous to beat beat Penrith or South Sydney. But it was a good moment, good day, and we'll go more into the game soon. But
you want to explain that one?
Do you want
I was
to
actually trying to pass through the drum. Look,
do you want to touch on that 15% of Cowboys fans who are?
Yeah, I'll touch on the 15% who are absolute flogs. Don't disrespect Jonathan Thurston. Apparently, it's a sin up there. So me jumping up on, look, we walked out. We've posted the videos. We've seen it. You've probably all seen it. If you're listening to podcasts, I dare say you've seen it, the whole 6 of yous. But we actually walked out all together. Safety in numbers. I got everyone together. We're all hanging around. So we're all going back to the same pub. We're going to have a good time. And while I'm on that pub, a special shout out to the Herbert Hotel. I don't know his name, but the publican there was an absolute legend. I brought everyone back to the pub, so I didn't pay for a drink all night. It was fantastic. It was a great moment. So, and he let me control the music. I played the Parra song. I played Sweet Caroline. We had Paradise going. We had some great tunes going, but absolute bangers. And he pretty much gave me control of his pub to do whatever I wanted. I was standing up on tables and stuff, and he just did not give a shit. But I said, let's get the numbers. We'll go back together. We'll walk out of here because we all know what Queenslanders can be like. And then I think it was this idiot here may have said to me, "Oh, why don't you climb up on the Jonathan Thurston statue?" So I've climbed up on Hayden.
I said, why doesn't he get a photo with it? Because he had the drum there. But unfortunately, some idiot decided to throw some beer at us and shove us into the statue.
That, yeah.
We actually had a few people around to stick up for us, though. So that was a good moment.
Cowboys fans, yeah. Look, I was ready to go. I can't fight at all. But I got pushed. I've got a big mark on me. I got pushed, and then you never push someone who's got the higher ground. It's like Fortnite. You always want the higher ground. So I'm up here. He's down here. And I've just come across and grabbed him. And his mate's going, "Oh, look at all these Parramatta fans. Parramatta fans causing trouble." And then I just got showered in beer. First of all, that's a waste of your weakest piss beer, Queensland. I know it tastes like crap, but it's still a waste of time. Secondly, if you're going to throw it to me, give me a chance to open my mouth. And thirdly, poor Emily copped it all anyway, so I actually didn't get much of the beer because I ducked when I saw it coming. But we got out of there alive. We had a good night. We paid with 3M. We probably should talk more about the game. But first, before we do that, we'll go to Matt first. Matt, your experience at Parramatta Leagues Club.
Oh, it was amazing. Just the atmosphere. They had big screens. They had tables, chairs, beers. Those beer tubes.
Wow.
No, the big tubes going everywhere. It was a very emotional night. It was like actually just being at the game. Seeing the familiar faces. Had a few of we had Owen there doing his stuff downstairs. I think there was like each level there was something happening, and just even O'Connell Street after was just chaos. Yeah, Jared Hayne was there. Timmy Manor was there. There was ex-players were jumping in, just running across the street in the middle of an intersection. Troy almost mowing them down in the car. But yeah, it was probably one of the best nights I've had in a while. So
Well, there's a
very
big chance it's
emotional.
going to get better when we win the comp on Sunday. That's for sure. Those
Yeah.
scenes times them by about 50 and probably about 50,000 more people and we'll be there. Troy, your experience?
So are we talking about the experience or the game?
Experience first, and we're going to go into the game.
First. Oh, look, as Matty said, we were at the Leash Club level 3. It was packed there. It was packed at Sturlo's, packed outside in the car park. As Matty said, a lot of familiar faces, but there was a bit of a lull in the crowd when we were 20-12. It was very quiet. Then Reg scored his second try, and there was a bit of relief, a bit more energy in the club, thinking it was going to happen. And then Micah scored his try, and there was the excitement, but then there's also the nerves and the tension in the air as well, because we hadn't quite got across that line. But as soon as that full-time hooter went, when Bailey kicked the ball into the crowd, myself and Maddie and everyone just erupted.
Longest 3 minutes of our lives, Troy?
3 minutes, it felt like 3 hours for us.
Well, yeah, at the ground it must have been. But first of all, it was an eruption of getting into the grand final, and then all the emotion spilled over. There was cuddles given, hugs given to complete strangers. Sorry?
No
Any
fainting.
fainting over the
no fainting, but a lot of hugs from Parra fans.
Did you kiss anyone? I kissed a few people. I'm not going to lie.
There was a lot of tears. And then we hung around in the Jacks for a while. And then we went out the front of the Leafs Club, and everyone congregated out there and chanting. And as Matty said, O'Connell Street was
stadium.
Car horns. We walked over to Combank Stadium just to soak it up a little bit, and then up O'Connell Street, and it was just car horns going everywhere, and it was going off. Unbelievable scenes, and as you said, if that was the scenes that was there last Friday night, I can't imagine when we win on Sunday.
We're saying positive. When we win, we're not being cocky. We're being.
No, that's it. We're being confident, and when we win on Sunday, I can't imagine what those scenes. It's going to be 10 times that.
Yeah. 50 times. What was that?
50. A million.
Can I just make a quick mention to the?
I'm going on a bend on Tuesday. Just put that out there. Yep.
The picture behind Hayden says it all.
Yeah.
Just a death stare by Yo. And he's not taking that eye off that trophy, man.
Adam, would I have been the odd one out if I was at Parra Leagues Club? Do you think someone would have hugged me, or do you think they all would have been gathering together as I go? If you guys haven't seen the vlog, just for a recap, because it is a big video, but go and check it out. Literally, as you mentioned, Troy, that moment where Bailey kicks the ball out, everyone's screaming, everyone is embracing, and I go to grab Adam, screaming his name for that kind of hug moment, and he's already hugging this group of boys, and I've turned around towards Scuzzy, who's aimed to run on the field.
Yes, we won't mention his name too much, but he got away with that one. He got it. All he got was a 12-month ban from Combank, 12-month ban from Queensland Country Bank Stadium. So he goes, "That's good. I don't plan on coming back in the next 12 months anyway." So he got
lucky. Played there for 2 years anyway. So
what actually happened was his brother was actually standing on the fence and got knocked. So he went over. So he followed him. Safety in numbers. His brother had a Parramatta polo shirt on. So security thought he was just one of the media team or something. As soon as we'll call him G, he jumped. He had a Parra jersey on, and obviously shorts and stuff. And they soon worked out. And they threw him out. And those boys had a long trek back because they got back to had to drive back to Cairns that night. It was a 5-hour trip already, and then they didn't get let go for a while because the police held him for a bit. So, anyway, good experience.
Matty, just back to that photo. That was taken at the finals launch way back 4 weeks ago. So, as you said, you can see the intent on Gutho's face just looking at that trophy and not taking his eyes off it. And that's what he wants, that desire to get that.
As we all do.
Yeah.
As we all do. All right, before we get in the game, I'm just going to touch on you all wearing your 2022 grand final shirts. I've been called out before we started the podcast for not having mine on. I believe in bad omens, and I have bought a grand final t-shirt in 2001 and 2009, and it got me nowhere. So when everyone was online, Hayden was buying his at the pub after the game. I was like, no, I don't want one. I didn't tell him why I didn't want one because I was still caught up in the moments and stuff, and I had other things on my mind. But long story short, I don't believe in it. I'm going to buy a Premier's t-shirt next week, and that's what I'm telling myself. If not, I'll buy one of them in a skip bin for $5 in probably 6 months' time at Rebel Sports. So, but that's my superstition. But look, I am wearing the 1986 jersey because I believe this will be the last podcast where I can wear this jersey and say it's the last jersey we won a comp in. All right, so let's get on with the game. Go through some key moments. We'll start with it straight away. The first try. Look, we're not here to fuck spiders. It was a forward pass. It wasn't 6 meters forward. It was probably half a meter forward. I think it looked worse because Ice actually reached out for it. You win some, you lose some. That's footy, isn't it? And, let's think back to 2017. There was a forward pass that went 4.5 meters forward against Melbourne, right in front of where we were all sitting. And it was a lot worse than that, and they didn't crap on as much as they did about that. So, it helps when you've got pro Penrith commentators obviously there that hate Parramatta. But, look, it was forward. We're not going to deny it wasn't forward. No one thinks anything else. We're all happy it was a forward pass. But you can't say that cost the Cowboys the game because it happened 6 minutes in. They had 74 minutes to make up for it. And look, we'll go through obviously the big plays. We'll go through it together, but we'll go through our key moments and stuff. But I thought the first Cowboys try was obviously pretty soft. It was a simple thing of Reid and Murata. Could have been the heat, could have been the moment, could have been the fact that the Cowboys seemed to offer up nothing for that first, till that actually happened. They didn't look like scoring. And they turned around and it just got lazy. They just didn't close the game inside. They went over and scored. Our second try, obviously, was just a barge over once again. Just a nice little gap. Nice face ball there by Maddo. Their second try, though, it should have been no try. I don't care if Mitchell Moses milked it. I don't care if there was soft. The simple rule is you cannot, as an attacking player, you cannot put your hand on the defending marker. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if he's holding you. You cannot in a pushing motion. If Mitchell doesn't fall over, it doesn't matter if he's fallen over later and then the ball's gone. It doesn't matter if he's fallen over too early. If Mitchell doesn't fall over there, Will doesn't have to rush in to defend him. And that's what happened. Will rushed in to defend him. They missed a tackle. Once again, so there's 50-50 calls either way, and we'll go to their call of when they go ahead 20-12. It was a forward pass as well. It was just as far forward as our pass was. This out of the hands shit, this out of the hands backwards crap. They'll claim that the try to Sivo was forward, but it was clearly touched by Felt. It was out the hands backwards. Until they bring the technology in, you're never going to really know IR because there's 70-40 from camera angles, and half the time you still can't tell. Like I said, that's footy. It goes for you some days. It's certainly gone against us other times. Just quickly, I'll go to Tamalolo. I believe Tamalolo should have been sent off. I said it straight away. They deemed it a shoulder charge. They deemed it late, and it was direct contact to the head. You've got 3 sin bins there. You've got late, you've got direct contact to the head, and you've got a shoulder charge. So you add them all up, he's got to be off the field, doesn't he? Go to you, Troy, your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that is how do you not get a penalty for someone getting a sin in the sin bin?
I get that rule because it was after the play the ball. My question that needs to be asked is how did they miss it straight away? How did they have to wait 2 plays to get it? When you've got a referee, a bunker, and 2 touchies there, how was that miss? Play should have been stopped as soon as we got tackled for them to have a look at it if they couldn't see it properly.
But it still doesn't matter whether it was 2 plays later. If you get sin bin,
they changed the rule. They changed the rule last year after that Magic round. Because remember that Magic round, we were going back. It happened to us at weeks after at Combank. I think it was Nathan Brown or Maddo or someone. They went back like 3 minutes and gave a penalty for it. You're pretty much just taking – you got to think rugby league's a game of more than just points scored. You got stats and stuff. You've pretty much just wiped 3 minutes of the game. So those stats and stuff count. Those tackles count, things like that. And we are in a game that is controlled and is owned by betting companies in a way. So you start going back and taking games back 3 minutes. What if a try was scored in that 3 minutes? Can you go back and say, all right?
But that one wasn't. That was only like one.
I
play
know that one wasn't, but
play before.
From that they set the precedence that it has to be tackled. Because the one our way at Penrith, when May was sin-binned, there wasn't another tackle. It was only one tackle completed, so it was still, the play the ball hadn't happened for the next one. We got lucky there because they actually made a bit of a half break off it. If they just got tackled, it would have been a sin bin, but no penalty to us. Not that we did anything with the ball anyway. I get what you're saying, but I said they've changed the rule. So it was the correct call. But do you think he should have been sent off?
Well, listening to you, yeah. I mean, late shoulder charge, direct contact to the head. If the NRL is all about protecting players' health and all the contact to the head and all this, well then, yeah, it should have been.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Tarek Sims got sin bin, and then I think he got sent the second or third time. I think.
Yeah.
In the game.
He did, and that one was a bit falling. Like there was no falling about Papali'is. It was just, and I don't think Tamalolo's a grub. I've never seen any grubby sign. He's a hard player. He was brilliant. He was probably one of the best players on the field. And he, I don't know. I don't think he's got that nature in him. He's just trying to create a big moment. But whether you think he's a grub or you think he's a great bloke, the action was there, and he had to go. And it just shows that things are different in semi-finals. We've seen the suspensions. We've seen these calls. Yeah. Anyway, I'll move on. I'll get your thoughts on the rest of the game first, and then we'll loop back around.
It was back and forth. I had a feeling like when we scored the first try, I'm like, they'll score next, and it will just go back and forth. It was a bit. I feel like the turning point of the game was Reg's. I think, what was it? Just before his second try, there was a defensive play where he sprinted out the line and put a hit on, and then the rest of that set, we were just dominant, and then we scored we fought. It was he sprinted out the line, put the hit on, and then that's when they spread the ball and come up with the error, and Lane got the intercept.
Yeah, that's my moment of the game.
That was the turning point, I feel, and then Reg scoring just capped that play off. Like he was the one that changed the momentum in that last 10 minutes, and that was the game for me. I feel like that was my biggest moment when Reg sprinted up and put that hit on, and then forced a mistake. They spread it, and then So that's probably my play of the game, and just from there it was all Parra. But that last 3 minutes, the Lane charge down, and then the Mitch kick gave him 7 sets, and just back and forth. I was like, just tackle him, and then when Bailey got the ball, it
felt like the Melbourne game again.
Yeah, exactly.
Plays those opportunities to storm and setting up to ice it.
It's good they changed that play, because if you look at the Canberra game, Maddo throws that ball to Junior. This time he went 2 to Reg, and they all sprinted up thinking Junior was getting it.
Yeah, it's just
it left Reg wide open. Yeah,
simple 3 in the bed play. It's you run it from probably under 12s, under 13s, and it just shows you don't have to always overcomplicate your footy. To have forwards that can ball play, we obviously know what Junior can do, but to have Maddo there, as I've always said, he's the best option at lock. To be able to throw that pass, because if he gives Junior that ball short straight away, Junior can ball play. So he said they had him guessing. The Cowboys defensively, we didn't get a lot of opportunities on our line, but defensively, once we got there, we just looked like scoring.
And
every
Mitch
time
said that Mitch even said that after the game.
Yeah,
he said every time we got down there, we scored, and we knew all we had to do is get down there and score.
That's it. Getting down there was proven difficult, but we'll get to that later and the reasons why. Hayden, your thoughts of the actual game, then we'll go back to Troy.
I completely agree with Matt. That play I said to you, I said to this moment, this is the turning point. I think you mentioned earlier that kind of, you still had that mentality that we can win, but it was seeming to be unlikely at that point. And then I was pretty close with the bold prediction, and on a separate podcast that I went on, I actually tipped Regan Campbell-Gillard for man of the match. And if it wasn't for Sean Lane and his amazing efforts for me, obviously there it is, cat out of the bag. Sean Lane for me being the man of the match, just coming up with those big creative plays, and even his ability to offload the ball and give Gutherson those big runs. I thought Gutherson was quiet probably in that first half, but in that second half, I guess you mentioned Brian Madison as well, but I think the ability for offloads and runs himself from Sean Lane, it was some career best form, and that's why he's being talked about for the World Cup. But yeah, the defence right towards the end, as I mentioned it, I wasn't there, but it felt exactly like that Melbourne Storm game earlier in the year, and obviously the same victory with a 4-point win.
Just so everyone knows why I'm constantly looking down, I'm being hassled by a 5-year-old German Shepherd. Has not left me alone the whole time I've been doing this podcast.
Man's best friend, mate.
I got a ball here. She just will not leave me alone at all. So I'm not reaching down to anything weird. I'm reaching down to pat me dog and try and push her away because she keeps trying to jump up on me. So just for that.
Is that what you call it?
Oh, that's what I call it. Yeah. Fuck. All right, Troy, your thoughts?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was anybody's ball game in the first half, 12 all at half time. You guys didn't know the reason why Mitch was off, but we knew the reason before kickoff why he was off. So could it go either one of two ways? You could have a bad game, or it could inspire him to have a massive game. We saw him have those 2 kicks over the sideline out in the full. Second half, he just reset, and his kicking aim was back. I think, to be fair, I thought Mitch and Dylan had one of their quieter games, to be honest, which is probably a good sign for us to know that they had that quiet game, and that they've got more to give, especially this week. So have to agree, probably Sean Lane, man of the match for Parramatta, and the game as well. Just that pass to Sevo, unbelievable. It could have, as he said tonight, I think on NRL 360, it could have just went over the sideline, but it stuck this time. But his tackle on Jordan McLean as well, that was a bit of a try saver, inspirational moment, and and the charge down as well. But also the whole team effort, just the fact that we completed the last 15 sets. In that so-called humidity up there in Townsville, amazing effort there. So, as I said before, when it got to 20-12, there was that lull in the crowd, and we were all worried that the Cowboys might have gone on with it because we were playing a little bit of catch-up football, but they showed grit and determination just to get back to basics. And then Reg scored that try to 2018. Even though Mitch missed that goal to get it to 20 all, it didn't put him off. And then, they just showed determination, and they wanted that result. And Sean Lane comes up with that play, and Micah scores. And then the other thing was Gutho's tackle on Tuolagi, I think, over the sideline. And Micah's on Kyle Felt as well. So there was a couple of moments there.
Yeah, I'm going to say, we'll talk about attack, obviously, but the old saying is defense wins matches. We've questioned our edge defense for years, really, and we finally seem to got it right. I'm going to give Bailey Simonson a massive rap. Coming in that game under pressure, I was worried. I wasn't worried about him attack. I know what Bailey can produce. He's not afraid to have runs out of trouble, pretty reliable with the ball. I was worried about him in defensive because we'd seen our defensive structure really struggle until Tom come in. And I thought Bailey was superb, kept his man out. Obviously played a lot of juniors in the centres, but for me, Bailey's just given himself first crack in the centres next year as well. We're obviously looking for a centre with Tom going overseas. I'm trying not to sneeze here, by the way, as well. I'm just not having a good moment so far. But that's my wrap on defence. But with that last 10 minutes, Hayden, they spent so much. I was right in front of us. They spent so much time on our line. Little things you don't see on TV, and it's very common in NRL games as well, is your wingers and centres either side, for balls going the other way, they're usually, walking up or covering the inside, not really doing much. And our whole team was together. And I knew from that moment we'd win that game. I knew there was no way they were getting through us. Which was off a sneaky little kick or a bit of lucky deflection. There's no way they'll burst into our line. And it was proof, obviously, with them trying to go around us and not having enough space, and Sivo pushing Feld over the sideline. My player of the match, no surprise, once again, was Sean Lane. Honourable mention to Reg. But I disagree with one thing you said, Troy, was Dylan Brown was quiet. Yeah, he was quiet. He didn't burst through the line. He didn't get his try assist he usually does. I agree Mitch was off. We know why. We don't really need to talk more about that. But for me, I was sitting there and they were doing a job on both Dylan and Sean. Dylan started taking the line on a lot more. When Dylan started taking the line on, all of a sudden the three men that were on Sean Lane, one of them had to drop across and go to Dylan. Sean pretty much put us on his back and said, let's go, boys. He wouldn't have been able to do that if Dylan didn't step up.
You've copied me there. That's exactly what I said to you at that match.
It's true, though. Yeah.
It's true. That was literally my stole the words out of my mouth.
I can't remember half stuff from that night, but you're right, because I've been saying it for weeks, and I said it when we played Melbourne. That's why I got the first try score when we played Melbourne, because I knew that Melbourne would do a job on Sean Lane that would give Dylan space. The good thing about them, and they both had probably the best years of their careers, having the best years, is teams are going to do their homework on them. And you can't stop them both for 80 minutes. So as BA would say, we stayed in the grind, which we did. The game wasn't out of reach. And eventually the space started opening up for one of those men who have been our most dangerous players. Our right edge obviously wasn't wonderful. And I know that Ice obviously took a head knock early on as well, but I feel like he's struggling a bit for back-end fatigue in the season. And I think BA did know that. He said, that's why he had the second row there in Bryce Cartwright last week, and he's gone for a middle forward this week. So he was struggling, there's no doubt. But hopefully, obviously, it's one more game. He's got to get yourself up for one more game and push through that. We've done our players, the matches. You got our bold predictions there, Matt. We'll go to our bold predictions. Anyone else got anything to add for the game?
Have you got the ladder, Matt, actually? Have you got the bold
No, I haven't done it. I'll do it at the end of the year. I'll do it after this game. I'll post it. I'll put it all together and then... All right. So Adam had 28-4. Reed first try scorer and Parra to score first 20 points. Troy had 24-18. Oof, Troy closest again. Will first try scorer this time. And all Eels points to come in the first half. Hayden had 14-12. Sivo first try scorer. RCG most running meters out of all forwards.
2 meters off.
2 meters off.
2 meters off.
I had 35-12. RCG first try. He got 2 second try, whatever. And Cardi to score a try. But yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter who gets the point because we're all pretty terrible.
Well,
you get it, but you got to turn up next week, mate. It's final series. There's no point winning one week. You got to turn up this week. Whoever wins this week wins the comp.
Job's not finished.
Job's not done.
Job's not done. Job's not finished.
Look, there's no other key moments I really want to go through. Nothing else I really want to talk about that night.
We get to these special guest messages.
Obviously, the fly in, fly out worked.
Yeah, well, that's what Dad was walking out saying. He's walking out going, God, it's hot here. I don't know how we come up here in one. So he was having a bit of fun with them as well. And it was fucking hot. It was stinking. I was going to strip down my budgies about 3 o'clock in the morning because I was sweating walking around Townsville. But we had a moment. We had a great time. But like I said, job's not done. We get the grand final. Let's have some more moments. Let's go to these special guest messages you've got.
Yeah, we've got a few special guest messages, so let's just play them out for the fans. We'll just hold this over. First one from Parramatta NRLW captain. We didn't mention it, but obviously our girls are in the NRLW
we're going to get to that. Yep.
Grand final tonight. But here's our little message, guys.
Hi, it's Jemima Taufa here, captain of the Parramatta Eels NRLW team. Thank you all for your support, the Blue and Gold Army, and hope to see you all out there loud and proud on Sunday, cheering us all on.
So there she is, Jemima Taufa, our NRLW captain. Do we want to get into the NRLW?
We'll talk about that now. So obviously the girls, very unexpected. I'll say that with the most respect I can. They snuck into the finals, but they didn't have a bad year. I'll come out now and I'll say it. I didn't expect them to win a game this year. And that's me being 100% truthful. I thought they'd really struggle based on the fact that they'd lost a few key players. They'd lost Studden, they'd lost Patelli, obviously, or Bo, whatever you want to call her, wherever she's gone now, due to the ACL injury and stuff. And I didn't see him replacing them with like-for-like stars. But you got to give Dean Witters obviously a bit of credit there. He's got a team together that he knew would do a job, and they've peaked at the right time. And obviously it's a 16 comp. There's a lot of people saying 14 finals, they're stupid. But if you look through their results, they got beat 38-16 by the Roosters, which is a pretty big smashing in a 70-minute game. Then they got beat 16-10 by the Dragons, the game they were in. And that lost 18-16 to the Knights for a controversial try, then a try late in the game. They lost 18-16 to the Titans. So 2-point losses in a row. You know,
that was the game changer. That game against the Titans, even though they lost, it's a weird statement, but I think it was the Titans game to lose rather than the Eels game to win at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that mentality really changed the girls. And I said to Troy, I said, we were at Penrith Leagues Club, and I said, look, I think they're going to make top 4. I think they're dead set going to make a push. I didn't think they'd make grand final, if I'm being honest, but that game against the Titans really changed it. And proud to see them there.
Yeah, I said, obviously they went on and knocked off Brisbane 28-16, obviously secure that final spot, which Brisbane have been a pretty dominant team for years. But look, they were given no chance against the Roosters at all. Roosters hadn't lost a game. They'd obviously pumped them earlier on. And to go out and beat them 24-10, I'll be honest, I was getting back from Townsville, so I didn't see heaps of the game in the car and stuff, and I do a couple of other things. I saw the back end of the game, and what I saw, they were dominant. The Roosters had no answer to them, absolutely dominating. So to do that against a team that's won every game, it's a small competition, but they've peaked at the right time when they've got there. So now they set up a massive game against the Knights. Massive game for me, bit of a weird game for me. As I said before, I've got a couple of friends that play for the Knights, and I didn't think the Parramatta girls would be there. I was hoping the Parramatta boys would be there. So I said to the girls, I'll be there to support you, hopefully. And then I had to send a couple of messages saying, I'm not supporting you anymore. So I had an open training session today, and I asked if I should come with the Parramatta drum and get there and cause a bit of a ruckus. But massive for the girls. Once again, they're outsiders. $2.39 against the Knights, paying $1.58. So Knights are declared favourites, but just like the boys, they've pretty much been given no chance. So anyone else want to make a comment, and Troy, that game and the girls' season?
Yeah, look, just to that game, I think they led from the front and they never looked back. The Roosters scored a try in the first half and then late in the second half. I think this season has really sort of unearthed a couple of players, especially their halves. I think Taylor Preston and Ash Quinlan.
Her kicking game, Troy.
I watched the game the other day. Is it Christian Pio? Christian Pio was really good in her runs as well. Almost got to the try line a few times as well.
Great try scored by Ash Quinlan. Big left foot step. I think it was about 10 metres or so out, and just went over the line. That was a great try. And also Gail Broughton at the back as well, the New Zealand Rugby Union gold medalist as well. She had a pretty good season as well. A little bit of attacking flair, so good to see her at the back there. So, as you said, they go into this game as underdogs, outsiders, but they're pumped. Talking to Samoa last night, they're excited, they're pumped, they can't wait to get out there on Sunday and represent the blue and gold and get the job done.
Yeah, for sure. And talking to a couple of the Knights girls, they're the team they didn't want to play. So they gave them a bit of a scare there at Newcastle earlier in the year, and probably Newcastle won controversially, as we know, and scored a late try. So the team they did want to avoid. So it's always good when they say that. So, look, I wish both teams luck. So I've got a couple of mates there. So it's one of those games. Hopefully, I'll obviously be supporting Parramatta, but I'll be happy for me friends if they can win a comp as well. But Hayden, you going to say something?
I was just going to mention just quickly, I'm not going to give an actual tip for the game, but I'll get a feeling it won't go to golden point, but I reckon this game will be decided by a point. You mentioned earlier that controversial win earlier in the season. I think it'll be very, very close. So I'm
not going to go to golden point. It's going to be decided.
Did you just say, I'm not going to say...
Not going to say my
prediction. I'm not going to
tip a team, but I'm going to say that either team will win by 1 point. It's going to be 1 point.
Right, okay. Fair enough.
So we're not doing bad predictions on the girls, is what you're saying. Like I said, I hope everyone can get there early. Look, it's a bit...
3:50, I think it is. 3:50 p.m.
Kickoff, I think it is. And like I said, there's a massive gap. I don't know why the NRL continue to do this, but that game and presentation will be done by 5:30 unless it goes to golden point, extra time. But then the entertainment doesn't start till 6:30. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get what they're thinking. It's stupidity.
Unless they show highlights of the teams on the screen or something for that half hour period. They might do it later, but I mean,
I know you got the retiring players and leaving players things and stuff like that, and you got the entertainment and stuff, but I don't know. I haven't been to a grand final for a long time, obviously, but do the players still come and warm out in the field for a grand final, or they?
Yeah, they do the laps in the trucks, don't they, normally?
No, he means I mean they actually warm up, kick balls, and run up.
Yeah,
and
I don't think
the
they
field.
do. I think that's doing that big.
Grand final, it's inside.
Yeah, that made it. So, like I said, it's just the gap. It's just drinking mid-strength shit overpriced beer for a while. If anyone wants to sneak a flask in, I think we're going to have to go with that option. So, anyway, stadium, don't come to me.
Let's go to guest speaker number 3 before we get to our main one.
What happened to number 2?
Number 2.
We're gonna come back to number 2. I think number 2 will save best for last. Here we go.
Hi everyone, this is Jim Sarantino, CEO of the Parramatta Eels. I just want to say a big thank you to all our fans and members. You've all been so loyal for so many years. You've been waiting a long time for a grand final, and this week we've got 2 teams playing in the big dance. So hopefully we come home with the double. Enjoy the week.
Yeah, just on that, obviously he's mentioned that big fan base, and we saw a few times this season some big crowds, and we obviously had the biggest crowd attendance throughout the season. So Parramatta fans, just give yourself on a pat on the back for that one. But obviously, before we get into this huge game between the Eels and the Panthers for the grand final, we have co-captain Junior Paulo wants to have a little chat with you guys, and let's play that one right now for you.
Yeah, hi, it's Junior Paulo here from the Parramatta Eels. Just wanted to thank the Blue and Gold Army for sticking by us for over countless years. I'm sure we'll be able to go out there and make them all proud, but most of all, we're definitely looking forward to seeing them all out there on Sunday.
There you go. So obviously a sold-out venue. We're all going to get out there in our numbers, and we thank our 3 guest speakers for tonight's show.
You just gave us a spoiler alert, though. Now we know Junior's playing. We haven't been through the team list yet. I'll quickly. Does anyone quickly want to go through the girls' team? It's obviously a grand final team. Run through their list there. I'm going to struggle with pronunciation. So, Troy, do you want to get that list up? Or
geez, this is not on the run sheet. It's
not on the run sheet at all. But I want to show you guys respect. Obviously, they've made a grand final. Give them their name and mention. Hopefully, everyone can get out there. 355. Look, obviously, there's going to be 85,000 people at the grand final. I'll be 100% honest now, and I'll say, given that we unfairly got the jump on tickets and our fans probably are prepared to pay a bit more money for tickets, and a lot more people like us and actually want to see us win and want to sell us tickets, I'm expecting there to be 45,000, 50,000 Parramatta fans out of the 85,000 crowd. So if we can get half of that crowd turn up early for the women's game and give them a 20 or 30,000 atmosphere, that'll be absolutely huge for them.
And you got to feel for Cameron Ricketts, a disappointed fan who couldn't get tickets.
I do. I feel sorry for Cameron because he's got that shit night shirt on. It's punishment, but I don't feel sorry for Cameron Ricketts at all. I don't feel sorry for anyone from Penrith that missed out on tickets, because I'll say this now: if my team was one of the most convincing minor premiers in years, like we were in 2001 and 2005, I would have had tickets already. Like I did in 2001 and 2005. All right. You've had plenty of chances to buy tickets. Your team's been clear. If you're that diehard a fan, you're a member. So get on and buy your tickets. You can sell them back. You can click the refundable ones. You can sell them back on Ticketek Marketplace. You can sell them legally, or you can sell them to mates.
When did you all buy your tickets, if I may ask? The question is
pretty much as soon as they went on sale.
Okay, I bought mine after the Storm game. After the Melbourne Storm game, I knew that defence was there and gave them full credit. Said, look, I know where we're going. But no, it's interesting to compare it with all you guys.
That's a good question. I'm actually going to look up when I bought them. We'll go to Troy to run through this team list, and I'll come back to that.
Okay, so starting at fullback, we've got Gail Broughton, Zali Faye, and Cassie Tohu Hiku on the wings. Abby Church and Rakia Horn in the centres, Ash Quinlan and Taylor Preston in the halves. Forwards, front row, Kennedy Cherrington and Ellie Johnston, Brooke Anderson at hooker, Christian Pio, second row, Vanessa Foliaki, her second row partner, co-captain, will be the captain on Sunday, as we heard from her just a little bit before, Simona Taufa. On the interchange bench, Philomena Hanisi, Sealy Malangi, Nevada George, and Rima Butler, with Ruby Jean Kenner, the 18th woman.
10th one. Wonderful. Thanks for that, Troy. Glad you got through that because I wouldn't have. I would have struggled. I'm terrible with pronunciation of the names. There's obviously a few Kiwi girls there. I can't get their names right. I'm not even going to lie. So I can't. How often do I get Wonga wrong?
There's just one more. There's Tiana Penatani, the other co-captain. She's named at number 21. There's questions about whether she'll actually make the team on Sunday with I think a hamstring injury. I think.
Yeah, big in if she does play. How's that?
Absolutely.
Experience?
Yeah, it's always big in having your co-captain play, obviously. I actually bought my tickets the same time as you, Hayden, after that Melbourne game. So they didn't go on sale much before that because they couldn't decide whether they won the grand final. All right, let's get on the big one. 7:30, obviously there at Accor Stadium, whatever you want to call it. It's had 75,000 different names. We'll just call it Stadium Australia. 7:30 kickoff. The Battle of the West, technically part 4, kind of part 5. We're up 2 from 3 in the actual season and finals, and then take the trial into consideration, which we're claiming, of course. Look, we're outsiders. We're massive outsiders. We're $3.10 with Sportsbet. Penrith are the shortest price favourites ever for an NRL grand final.
Really?
So,
even shorter than 2001?
Well, I don't think there was really betting apps back then, so I couldn't really give you an idea.
Fair enough.
But it's interesting you say that because this reminds me of 2001, except the opposite way around. In 2001, the Knights were given no chance. All we had to do was turn up on grand final day, which ultimately we didn't. And the game was ours. It was pretty much Newcastle there to make up the numbers. We had one hand on the trophy. And we come out and we got caught a footballing lesson there by Joey Johns and Ben Kennedy. Actually, it's Ben Kennedy that cut us to pieces in that game. And, look, it was probably a choke, but they just turned up as well. So it's starting to give me those 2001 vibes. Pretty much say what they're saying is we can't win this game. There's no one tipping us to win this game besides the diehard Parramatta fans. So that gives me confidence because, you know what, we've got no pressure. Besides a 36-year hoodoo sitting on us, we've got no pressure to actually be expected to win this game. So that's obviously my thoughts. I'll go through the team list and we'll talk about the game, where we can win the game, all those kinds of things. I don't worry about the Penrith team. We don't really give a fuck. Our team list is, as stated, no changes there from last week. Gutho at fullback, Siva and Blake on the wing, Penasini and Simonson in the centres, halves combination of Brown and Moses. Maddo currently starting at lock, which we expect to see a change. Papali'i and Lane, Paulo, Mahoney, and Campbell Gillard in the front row. Bench, obviously the big in there of Nathan Brown. We'll talk about that a bit more later. Jacob Arthur keeps his spot at 15. Hayden will talk about that later. Oregon Kafusi at 16 and Murata Niokora there at 17. The 18th man is Matt's boy, Bryce Cartwright. I'll go through my thoughts first of all. I think bringing Nathan Brown into this kind of game, as long as he can control his aggression, is a genius plan. I think he's going to be huge off the bench. BA's come out and obviously buried the hatchet, so there's been no dramas there. He just wasn't up to game, finished with a couple of injuries and stuff. I don't believe it, but look, they've obviously buried the hatchet for this week. We saw photos going around earlier in the week of BA and Brown doing a one-on-one session together, so maybe they had a kiss and a cuddle and made up. I don't know what they've done, but either way, Brown's on the team sheet. If he can control his aggression, he's the perfect player because he's going to be coming out to prove a point. He's going to be coming out to prove that he deserves this spot, not only for this game, but for next year as well. Because if he comes out and has a shocker, I think he's done next year. And it's as simple as that. He'll probably spend most of the year in reserve grade. You want it, Hayden? I know you're angry.
I'm not angry. I just have questions.
Go easy. It's Jake's birthday today, yeah?
Yeah, happy birthday, Jake.
Happy birthday, Jake. I just think I understand that there was no opportunity last week, but I think if you were going to put Jake in that bench spot, and I know we've seen a few other players haven't gotten off the bench, why not get him on the field at some point? Like, I know we were down to that pressure moment, but if you're willing to name him and you think there's either going to be that moment where he's going to come on, or if you know that someone like a Dylan Brown, who obviously didn't train the other day, that's the part where I can understand Jake being on the side. But overall, I think there were some better options of cover. It's good to see Nathan Brown cover the forwards. But yeah, in a grand final where you don't think he's going to come on at all unless there's an injury, I thought it was a really interesting decision. And look, I've been a backer of Jake for a few weeks, and he's not really done anything wrong to get named. But just the fact that there was no minute out of that 80-minute, I thought it would have been nice for him to be 18th man instead of Bryce Cartwright this week and be celebrating with Dad on Sunday in the those fluoro jerseys, those or green ones, whatever they are, 18th man ones.
I get your thoughts, and I agree. Obviously, a big game with forward stuff. I didn't think it was a bad decision last week because the Cowboys had the hammer on the bench, so it was kind of they were carrying 3 forwards, we were carrying 3 forwards. The problem I have is that it's not the problem I have is, but if you look at the finals, 3 games, he's been used for 2 games. He's been used for 20 minutes and 15 minutes. Jake's not there to play halfback, but the shuffles we can make if we get an injury, I think it supports having someone with the ability to play in the 7-6-1, whatever, to make those changes. Like I went through this at the start of the year. Bringing Jake on, we can shuffle as much around as we need to. We can put Moses to fullback defensively. He's still going to play as a halfback, obviously in attack. Put Gutho to hooker if something was happening to Reed. There's all those changes you can make. Yes,
he was quite good in that 9. I think it was the Storm game. Was it the Storm game he came on and backed up when Marnie went off?
Yeah.
And he was playing at dummy half. Like that type of role, obviously, if we're with a big score on the weekend, then maybe he comes on. But
look, I know he's wearing jersey 15, and I'll still call it a traditional 14, but I'm a big fan of having a traditional 14 utility player. And it can't just be someone in the old days, obviously because of the defensive work and stuff they did. It was you always had your hooker. Like, we saw it back when Parramatta had their best years with, Brad Drew and obviously PJ Marsh and Mark Riddell and stuff there as well.
Kevin Kingston and
100%. Kevin Kingston and Matt Keating. Exactly right. 2009. So I'm was always a big fan of playing 2 hookers. I think now in the modern day, you need to have someone that can be there to cover the positions. Look, I don't think Cartwright deserved his spot. I'm just going to say it. I thought he was poor on Friday night. I won't hesitate. He come on defensively, I don't like him. And in attack, he's not the kind of player I want on the field in the grand final. He's the kind of player I want if we're down by 10 with 10 minutes to go to come on. But you can't plan for those moments. You can't plan. You don't go on a grand final thinking we're going to bring him on if we're down by 10. He come on the other day. We got our 1-6 again that we got in the game. And he threw a stupid flick pass that wasn't needed on 0 tackle. So that cost him a spot. I have no doubt about that. If Jake should be there, I'm a fan of utility. Yes, I don't know if it should be Jake, but either way, I'm not afraid to say I'm happy to have 3 forwards and 1 utility there. Your thoughts, Troy?
I just agree with what you just said there. I mean, Jake can play a lot of positions if need be. It's worked for the last, 3, 4, 5 weeks. I don't know who else you would bring in. Other than Cartwright. We've got Brown in, which is what we have and what most Parramatta fans have called for him to come back into the team. So we've got that. I just think maybe winning formula, stick to it. As you said, the first 2 weeks of the finals, Jake's been needed for 20 and 15 minutes. So you just don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly right. You don't know. And you make an interesting point. I don't know who else would come in. Like, obviously, Makatoa's been thereabouts as well. He's obviously been unlucky to be dropped and stuff. But I guess the other question is maybe we could have seen Kai Rodwell make a debut, 7th debut for the grand final. What a moment that would have been. But I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of – I was a big fan earlier in the year of Hayes Perham to play that 14-year-old because he can cover so many positions, but it never happened. So – because it hasn't happened, you're not going to do it in a grand final. Like, Jake's obviously been there for a couple of weeks, for a few weeks now. So I thought it had been pretty harsh. I don't find it harsh on Cartwright getting dropped. He only just come back in the team. I find it harsh on Makatoa a couple of weeks ago getting dropped, but to drop Jake after, who cares if it's your father or not? As a coach, to have to drop someone who's consistently been in the team for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I would find hard. And I would find it incredibly frustrating for that player. I made mention of it when we played Canberra. Jake looked generally angry to come off the field. And my personal belief was he shouldn't have come off the field. We touched on that. But it shows he wants to be out there playing footy. Whether he gets a moment to come on or not, you don't know. He could come on and kick a winning field goal. Anything's possible. They could have been practicing something with him. The majority of Penrith's game plan is going to be based around the lane and Brown combination, the Mitch and Brown combination, and Gutho, they're not going to do any research on Jake at all. So you never know. We could be down, and 5 minutes ago, I said you can't plan for these things, but they could have a trick play that resolves around Jake. They could bring him on as a floating forward. Anything could happen. So anyway, anyone else got anything to mention, Matt?
No, I just think
I want Cardi in the team.
no. No, well, there's like, I just felt bad for Cardi because it's Penrith, and coming from Penrith, we sort of, soon as that full-time siren went, we saw Regan turn straight around on the bench and grab Cartwright, the old Penrith boys in the grand final versus their old club with Wanga. I just feel like there's almost a ambush going to happen. You
love that word.
I know, ambush. It's my favorite. In a way where we saw it when we beat them at Panthers the first time, when we broke their streak. Nathan Brown was in that team off the bench, and he played a good role in that. So, yeah, I feel like this might have been a trick up the sleeve for a while now coming. I feel like BA was always going to put him in, no matter what, because we're playing Penrith. So
are we? Is the Battle of the West?
Yeah, it's Battle of the West Part 5, mate.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
You're
so
right. Brown played lock for that game. He's going back to it. Started at lock. 13 runs, 120 meters, 33 tackles. So
yeah. So I feel like he was always going. If Penrith got through to play, he was always going to play. I don't know if Souths get through, he plays, but I just feel like BA was always going to play him in this game.
Yep. Your thoughts are valid. All right. Where's the game one? Where do we win this game? I'll start off based on evidence of obviously the last two games, obviously a strong start. The team that scores the most points will win. So if we score points early, we're a big chance. But obviously our forward pack, we dominated them in the forwards when we played them there in Penrith in, round 9 back in May. And then obviously the game, look, we've spoken about forward, obviously pretty much recapping on a podcast we did 4 weeks ago. But round 20 there at Penrith, we were on top of them through the forwards as well, which gave us the right to play football. We beat them in round 20 at Penrith, obviously before Cleary got set off, we're on top. So, yeah, obviously there's some pretty pressure halves moments there. I'll say now that Penrith halves do choke under pressure. Origin 3, look at it now. Cleary's going to need support off Luai. And if Luai doesn't give Cleary support and our forwards are constantly getting off their line, we will win the game because they'll work him over the way we run the ball. For me, their player to stop once again is Api Coruscant off the bench. I'm assuming he's coming off the bench. I don't know if he's named to play. I'll have a look. I haven't really looked at their team. He's named to play, but they've been making that change every week. Kenny will start, and same as we have been. And Api will come off the bench. It worries me off the bench because we get those forwards on. Obviously, we've seen BA kind of do that rotation where we've kind of kept Paulo or Campbell Gillard on, but there's a couple of key moments where all our forwards pretty much look gassed on the weekend, which is when the Cowboys started right through. So, Api coming off the bench, we've got to be on our thing. He's a man to stop. And I think our right edge needs to stand up this week, attackingly as well. It's been pretty quiet out there lately with obviously the combination of Moses and Papali'i. I said I feel like Papali'i is gassed. We've seen Will Penasini getting a lot more early ball. Maybe that's been a plan as well. Maybe to give, Ice a bit of a rest there, get Will a lot more early ball. So I feel like the right edge really needs to stand up because Penrith are going to know they have to stop playing in Brown. I'll go to you, Troy. Your thoughts, where we can win it, where we can lose it?
Yeah, definitely in the forwards. Junior and RCG up against Fisher Harris and Moses Leota. Definitely that battle is going to be pretty good. As you mentioned, Api Coruscant off the bench, got to watch him. But the thing that we lacked in the qualifying final was kick pressure on Nathan Cleary in the on the fifth tackle. That would seem to be a bit absent in that qualifying final. So I think that needs to be a bit more present. And then hopefully it will be. And hopefully the old Penrith block plays don't the blocker players don't come out and block our chasers, but I'm sure the referees will be on top of that. And speaking of referees, we've got Ashley Klein as head referee. So he went from 7 sin bins to 1 sin bin. None, I think, when he left us against Canberra. So, look, forward battle, kick pressure, good start. That's how we win the game.
And score the most points. Matt?
Yeah, I'm going to go a totally different one. I reckon we kick the ball into touch as often as we can.
Sorry.
Get the set
All I heard
restart.
from Hayden for the last 15 minutes last week was kick the ball into touch, Mitch. Kick the ball into touch, Mitch. He kicked the ball into touch twice in the first half and you blew up at him. Go, Matt.
I don't mean out on the floor like that. I mean those short kind of kicks that bounce.
Along the ground.
Just drill it over the sideline. It takes Dylan Edwards' kick returns out. It takes Brian To'o out of the game. No hit-ups. It forces their forwards. So if you watch Penrith, their forwards don't take hit-ups. They stand on like the halfway line waiting for the play to catch up to them. If we kick it down, they're forced to go all the way back there and have a set restart, which then we can just smash them and keep them down that end, and then Cleary can't get into that kicking zone. So that's what
Are you hearing this, BA? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Mate, I message Mitch all this during the week. Don't you worry. I can show you my...
Hang on. I get what you're saying, right? But what you're also saying is that by kicking it in the touch, it makes their forwards get back and work. But it also gives their forwards a rest. And that's the point. Hayden was in the emotion of the game, and being someone, look, I'm a halfback from way back, but I've also spent a lot of time in my forwards as well for my playing career. And you appreciate that rest because you can take that 30 seconds. Trust me, you're going to get a lot more rest by coming to a scrum than you are walking back from halfway, because you're still going to be expected to take one on fourth and you're still going to be set. I know what you're saying, but in my opinion, ball in play for us is a good thing because I think we're the fitter team.
Kick it along the ground, keep it in play.
Edwards is also good for a mistake. Edwards is good for the old fumble mistake as well if you keep kicking it to him.
Yeah, but Mitch has to put up the...
But not down his throat all the time.
Yeah.
That's true. We need fucking kick pressure as well. That's one thing we definitely do need.
Yeah.
When they're kicking the ball. Anything else to add, Matt?
No, Bailey will drop back for the bombs instead of Wonga, and Cleary won't kick another bomb off that. Bold prediction. Bailey will drop back from the first bomb, or they'll slide. So I'm tipping that Will drop back, then Sivo will drop over the fullback, and then Guffo will slide over to where Wonga should be standing, and Wonga won't drop back.
Aren't Bailey and Sivo on the wing centre together?
No.
No, Bailey and Wonga, isn't it?
It's Bailey and Wonga on the same side.
No, wasn't it Will and Wonga?
No.
Like the game was right in front of me on Friday night. I can't even remember who was in the centres.
You were there.
Hang on. No, I'm right.
Yeah,
Bailey.
No, I swear in the first half, but I swear Bailey was with Wonga. But so that's what I reckon.
I had that same thought, but I didn't know how Will was under a high ball being a centre.
I don't
Will and Micah.
Yeah, Wonga won't drop back for a high ball.
It's not. Yeah, it's Will and Micah.
Will and Micah.
Yeah, well, if you look at the Raiders game, Wonga did not drop back for one high ball.
No, it's not. It's Bailey and Micah. Ignore what numbers are in, because Tom was with Micah. So it's Will and Wonga together. So Will won't drop back, I think.
All right. Yeah.
But you're right. We've slid it well. Gutho's just been taking up a bit more position. We did it the other night. But that one Wonga dropped the other night was absolutely a fucking terrible bomb. And he just had a think. So it shows it's in his head. So if he catches his first one, I think you'll be right anyway. We won't have to talk about it. But
yeah.
All right, let's get on. Before we go to our bold predictions, let's highlight as well. It's gathering a little bit of momentum. A march to the game, apparently, kicking off in the Leagues Club about 3 o'clock. No, we're not marching.
A fair walk.
No, we're not marching. It's obviously from Parramatta to the station.
Oh, right, okay.
Your ticket to the game includes travel, so you don't have to buy a ticket. integrated event, and then the train from the station there to Olympic Park. I need to look it up. I didn't look it up at work today, but I'm hoping that they're running trains directly from Parramatta to Olympic Park. While someone gives their bold predictions, I'll go last. I'll actually look that up and we'll have that information. So who wants to go first? Matt's probably got his prepared.
No, I don't.
I don't. I guarantee
Look, we're all obviously going to tip our boys here. So before we get into our scores and things, I've got a little segment, guys, and I've got a few facts. I've got a few facts as to you've heard some of them, but some of them.
Is this someone doing research on this podcast?
Fast facts
me.
from Hayden.
I'm gonna probably screen record this and put it on a few different platforms like a TikTok or a Instagram. So look, guys, I'm gonna give you 5. No, sorry, not 5. I'm going to give you 6 facts as to why Parramatta will win the premiership in 2022. And some of these you've heard, some of these you haven't. The first one, we obviously have heard it. Top Gun being the highest grossing film of 1986. Currently in 2022, it's Top Gun Maverick. A lot of people think Avatar in December could have beat it, but we'll see. That's fact number 1. Number 2, the last team to have a 36-year drought was the West Tigers in 2005. They won the comp from 4th position back in 2005. In 2022, Parramatta finished in 4th position.
That one.
Now, another interesting one. Back in 1986, our star 5'8" in Brett Kenny scored 11 tries in the regular season, not including finals try. Dylan Brown finished the season in the regular season with 11 tries. So, interesting combination there. Now, out of the 5 times in the NRL era, so in the last, say, 22 years, where 2 sides have met twice in the final series. Obviously, we've already met the Panthers 3 times out of that 5. The losing team in the first final has then gone on to win the grand final. So that's fact number 3.
Who was the last one to do it?
Last year, the Panthers, yeah. Before I get into the big one, I'll get into this one. They're both big here, but I'll get into this one. So every team that won the grand final in 2011, 2012, 2014, 2018, and 21. So 5 different times has lost to the West Tigers in the regular season. We saw it with the Roosters with an upset a few years ago. We lost to the Tigers 21-20. So if your team loses to the Tigers at the start of next year, you should start buying your grand final tickets. But the final one, the one that's given me so much belief in this club, and it's such a big stat, is in the last 8 occasions that a prelim has been played at ANZ or Accor Stadium, and the other prelim being at another venue, which obviously for us was Townsville. The grand final team who played at the other venue have won 7 out of 8 times.
Well done, Hayden. Mate, Hayden, can I just say something?
Yeah, my
Where were these facts?
Sorry, guys, can you just be quiet for a second?
Mate.
I'm just on the phone to Sportsbet. I'm just putting my house on it. Hayden's just convinced me to take those $3.10 odds. So, yeah, I'll put 500,000 on Parramatta. Thank you.
Isn't Sportsbet got $4.20 for Maverick and
they do, yeah. They do.
And Parra as a duo?
They
But
do,
Hayden,
yeah.
where were these fun facts from the start of the season, mate? I really enjoyed that.
Well,
Like,
I don't know, mate.
It's shame you're bringing it out for.
I'll try and come up with some more for you. I'll give credit to I found
one ideal.
I found 5 of the 6, sorry. I'll give credit to the out of the 5 times in
That's
the
another
NRL
stat.
era. That one I'll give credit to Random Stats Guy over on Instagram. But the other 4 I've come up with, he's going to use them as well on his page. I've given him approval for that. But yeah.
I'll give you another stat. It's also it's very rare to beat a team twice in 4 weeks in general. It doesn't happen that much in the NRL. It happens 5 or 6 times, but it's very hard to beat a team twice in 4 weeks. So it's pretty good. We did lose that week 1 now. So
it's not really
we didn't give too much away. They did.
Correct.
And it's not really a stat or anything, but what about the Queen connection there? You know, she opened Parramatta Stadium and now she's passed away. That connection there.
Did the Queen die? Did she? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
that
little connection there. So yeah, it's in Parramatta's blood somewhere.
I don't know. Maybe. All I know is we're not burning the stadium this year, guys.
That's concrete.
Yeah, so we can't burn concrete.
Are we jumping the field?
Well,
That'll be controversial.
that'd be
You'll get
very
you'll get a 12-month ban, and then you won't
No,
be
you
able to go to
won't.
next year's grand
Look,
final.
I'll
I
tell
only
you,
went to Accor Stadium once this year anyway.
if 200 people jump the field before me at full time, I'm jumping it with them. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, no,
If one person jumps it, see you, buddy, you're gone.
Not that we're advocates for that. Not that we're
15 people. 15. Oh, I can't hold up the fingers because of the filter, but 15
You
people.
also don't have wow. Those on the show that have foot fetishes, watch out. Hayden's lifting up his feet. All right. You're right. But look, if people jump the fence, I would be 100% in. I'm only 12 rows back. If there's 100 people gone, there's only 10 security guards.
Not that we're advocates for that, though. We're going to stay safe.
I just think it happens. I think they just let it happen.
What about Buddy's goal? The Sydney
Yeah,
Squad?
so the AFL has a pretty good culture of it. I remember JT when Jason Taylor broke the record, his two mates jumped the fence because it was only a few years after Tony Lockett obviously broke the record for the Swans. And once again, everyone swarmed the field for that. And his two mates jumped the field hoping people would follow him, and they got kicked out. So Jason Taylor went in and let him back in at halftime, went and paid for him a ticket to come back in. He actually walked out of the sheds at halftime and got him back in. It was unbelievable. So, look, if people were to swarm the field, I did it at the Newcastle Rugby League Grand Final. I was the second one on the field, and about 500 people followed me. So, let's see what happens, eh?
I'll wave to you to the stand.
No, you'll be on there. If ever, my safety numbers, you don't want to be the first one on the last one off. This is what I said to Hayden when we left Cowboys Stadium on Friday night. There's safety in numbers. All right? All right.
Predictions, let's go. What?
You want me to go first?
If you want.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I'm going Parramatta 26-12. That's Parramatta by more than 13. I think we'll get a jump on them before they kick back. And, I went 12. I don't usually go 12, but I went 12. And then I think we'll get one late. So I think we'll get to we'll get up by about 14, actually. I think we've got to blow them out the water early. And I can see us being up about 20-6 and then kicking back and getting back in the game and us scoring a late try to really put it in doubt and set the emotions flowing that we know we're ahead with a few minutes to go, and I'll start crying. My first try scorer, which isn't very bold, but I could actually see it happening early, is Mike Acevo scoring the first try. Definitely not bold, but once again, that you love your storylines. The club that told him he wouldn't really give him a chance to play. How good would it be to go out and see him score the first try in the grand final against him? And my bold prediction is for Parramatta to score in the first 8 minutes, into Moses to kick a 40-20 in the first 8 minutes. There you go. I can see it happening early on.
So does he kick the 40-20 first and then we score?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Okay.
He got to go up there. So,
fair.
All right, Hayden?
Yeah, look, you didn't let me do it before, so before I get into the prediction, I'll speak about the man to watch. For me, it's Dylan Edwards.
Sorry.
Yeah, Matt mentioned it before. Look, I think for me, it's Dylan Edwards. There's a lot of talk about Dylan Edwards and his form in the media, especially after last week's game. I think we've really got to shut him down, stop his kind of run meters. I think in week one, it was Viliami Kikau. And I think Kikau is going to be another man to watch. And that leads me to my first try scorer, which is Isaiah Papali'i. I think they're going to give that early ball to Isaiah. And with the news that Kikau is obviously playing, not suspended. Yeah, which he shouldn't be, especially being a repeatable offence as well. And the fact that he's carrying a bit of a shoulder injury, he's basically come out and said that. I think that they'll target him throughout the night. So I'm going to go Isaiah Papali'i, first try scorer. As for a score prediction, I've thrown it around. Last week, I wanted to go big 30-16, but look, I think it will be a tight game. I think we will win it. I'm going to go 22-16. I think it's going to be a very tight one. Not sure who's going to score that match winner, but I'm going to go 22-16. And as for my bold prediction, I have a feeling that a lot of the kicking, the pressure of the kicking, I think they're going to rely a lot of the trust of Reid Marnie in his final game. So my bold prediction is that Reid Marnie will kick 60-plus meters he averages about that 30, sometimes 0, but I'm going to go 60-plus kicking meters for Reid Marnie throughout the match. And are we giving a Clive Churchill medalist?
We are. We're going to do that last.
We're going to do that last? All good.
Yeah.
There you go.
When you said kick pressure and then you mentioned Reid Marnie, I thought you were going to go down the charge down line.
No, I meant that Dylan and Mitch are going to have that pressure off them of Reid Marnie attempting 40-20. He's probably missing it, but still doing plenty of kicking. And I'll mention it later. There's something else, but I'll mention it later.
Okay.
Yeah. Troy, what do you got?
Okay, so I'm going to go very close to Hayden. I'm going to go 22-14. So very close. So one of us is going to be really close. Hopefully I'll be right. I'm going to stick with my boy Will as first try scorer in the grand
Did you have him
final.
last week?
I did have him last week. I didn't have him the week before, and he scored the first. So, pick and stick. So I'll go with Will. And bold prediction is that we will be 8 points behind, and we'll come back to win from 8 points behind.
Yep. All right. That is bold.
It is because
Like I've seen it before.
Yeah, like I've seen it last week.
but in a grand final, grand final against the Premiers, to be 8 points down, you
don't want them.
Well,
in
we
front.
tried it in 2001, 2009, and it didn't work, so I wouldn't suggest it.
I don't want them in front.
I don't want it, but it could happen.
It could happen. A lot of things could happen, Troy. Matt, what do you got?
All right, I got 29-16.
16. Do you know? There's a number
16.
above.
I know, but I just figured there's going to be a couple of penalty goals. So I feel like
chucked in.
I feel like Mitch will kick a field goal right on halftime.
Where from? Where's he going to kick that field goal from?
Right in front.
How many meters out?
I don't know, about 20.
40, 20.
That's what I was hoping he said.
No, 20. It'll be 1 point.
Yeah. Okay.
I got Wanga first try scorer. I feel like, and then he'll get confidence from that. And my bold prediction is I was going to go to whole half, but I'll just calm myself. Parra to keep Penrith scoreless in the last 20 minutes.
Ooh.
Not that bold. All right. Just news in from the good folks at Sydney Trains, New South Wales Trains, whatever you want to call it, City Rail, Rail Corp. There's direct trains from Parramatta leaving every half an hour. So half an hour. Obviously, there's other trains leaving if you want to change at Lidcombe. There's no direct trains from Penrith. Obviously,
limited stops.
There's no direct trains from Penrith though. It's Olympic Park.
But they're saying limited stops.
Yeah, but you got to change trains. That's not direct. But leave it for the bloke that works for the railway. So
is there a train from Penrith to Parramatta? Because I need to get there somehow.
No, I looked it up for you, and there is a train. You've got to go. Yeah, you can go from Penrith to Parramatta.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, because you obviously go to Parramatta 4, but every half an hour. So to keep it pretty simple, up until the last one leaves at 6:28. There's trains leaving a half an hour. So at 3:28, for example, 3:58, 4:28, and so on. So every half an hour you can get a direct train. Obviously, in the gaps between, there's a couple of trains. You can go to Lidcombe and change there on the T7 to Olympic Park. So great news for those coming from Parra and obviously on the celebrations early. Those from Penrith will have to change trains at Lidcombe. Not a bad idea. I know there's a lot of Parramatta fans coming out from Penrith way, but obviously after the game as well, it keeps the fans separated because we know how Penrith fans can carry on like absolute pork chops.
So, guys, just wish me luck on Sunday because I'll be probably catching the train from Penrith to Parramatta. So I hope I do make it to Parramatta from catching the train from Penrith. So
if you don't, can you give me a ticket? I'll sell it to someone.
Would you like at least we won written on your coffin?
The thing is, we can get you a Parramatta coffin if we lose, so they can let you down one more time. But let's hope not. No, you'll survive, Troy. You'll be right. You're pretty tough looking.
I will survive.
Maybe get an Uber. Matt, how are you getting into the game?
I'll actually be there at 8 o'clock in the morning for breakfast. So I think I'm getting an Uber in and then just Uber everywhere. I was going to drive. I was going to book a ticket at ANZ, but I thought to myself, nah.
Yeah,
I need
no
to drink.
chance-
I'll
no
be
chance.
drinking.
we're bendering for a week after Parramatta win.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
you're coming down, staying like myself.
Yeah, staying in Parramatta.
So we'll all be there. Look, big chance, 80,000 crowd. Once again, if you mention the Talking Para podcast to Troy will buy you a drink, all right? That's it. Troy right here. Yeah, Troy down there. Oh, hang on, no, he's down there. I can't get it right.
have you been he's been paid for these interviews surely this week.
Yeah. So
Surely.
It's been a busy schedule.
Surely.
SEN radio tonight.
Troy, is that offered just for the game or is it for the afters at the club?
Oh, mate, I'm sure Gutho will be like Royce Simmons and say, I'll buy a schooner for you as everyone in Parramatta. But, it's been a busy week. So by the time this comes out, you can watch me on the project. So, yeah, there you go.
When are you doing that recording?
I did that this afternoon after the
Did you
SEN
have a
radio.
shave for it or?
No, mate. I'm thinking maybe I might even get the blue and gold spray paint out. Maybe the colouring paint. Maybe the beard might go blue and gold. I don't know.
You do you.
So Matty's already suggested that he might go back to the blue and gold hair from, what was it, 2009?
2009.
Yeah. So how's that poll going, Matty? Are they saying yes?
I got 86% yes.
It's got to happen. Yeah, you can't let
It's happened now. I can't turn back.
How long's the poll for?
But I'll have to move out. So for those that don't know,
There we go.
was 2009, and that wasn't spray on. That was pure bleach, and then separate.
I think we go spray on as you now. How old are you now?
Yeah, my wife won't let me home if I.
That's right. You don't want to be home for a week anyway. It doesn't matter. It's great.
And my job's already warned me if I turn up on Tuesday with that.
Do you not turn up to work?
Don't turn up.
Yeah, just simple.
Well, I work with one of the NRLW Eels players, so she's not going to be in for the next week if they
100%.
win as well. So,
all right, that's all we've got time for tonight. Hopefully we can. No, we don't. We've got time for more.
Clive Churchill medal.
Clive Churchill, mate. We've been going. It's been a long episode. We've been going for as long as Toy Story. We've gone over the run of Toy Story tonight.
It is the grand final.
Look, if anyone's still listening at this point, the code word is Parra Cave Podcast to get your free drink. All right, at the game. So if you say Parra Cave Podcast to any of us, we'll send you to Troy to get you a drink. All right. All right. Who you got? Clive Churchill, Hayden. Actually, I'm going first. I gave you mine weeks ago. And I'm going to say Reed. Reed's my Clive Churchill medalist. I think it's the kind of... Actually, no, I'm not.
I started writing already. What are we doing?
Well, I said 4 weeks ago, Reed, and I stupidly won some money in Townsville and have had quite a decent-sized bet on Dylan.
Okay.
Yeah, the $16.
You can say something and then bet on another thing.
No, because I'll curse myself, and if I do it, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to give Reed a mention. I think he's a chance because it's that kind of game that could open up for him with a few little short balls and maybe barge over for a try and bit defense. But for me, I think Dylan is a massive chance of winning it. A ridiculous odds for a 5'8" who's had the best year of his career. He gets a try and a couple of try assists. He's almost guaranteed himself a Clive Churchill in a grand final, which could be low scoring. So I'm going to say Dylan. If it's Reed, I won't be disappointed because I'm probably going to have a saver on it. Hayden?
I think Reed's going to be hard done by. Reed's my second pick for the Clive Churchill medal. I've hated his nickname for years. He's been an integral member of our team. He's our co-captain. I'm tipping Clint Gutherson to get the Clive Churchill medal at $11 odds. Big odds there.
What happened? What did you say? Nickname? You've hated his nickname?
Yeah, I just the King Gutho sat with
King.
me. But if we get this premiership, I think maybe I can start calling him the King.
He didn't give it to himself. Was it Matty
No, I
Dillon's
know.
fault, wasn't it?
Yeah. All right, Troy.
Look, you touched on it with Dylan. Obviously, another favourite would be Mitch. Obviously, Gutho as well. But yeah, I'll go with Sean Lane. I think he'll back up that form from last week, and Clive Churchill Medal winning position, winning player on Sunday will 150% put himself onto that plane to England for the World Cup.
Yeah. Yep. Do you want to know what he's paying? He's paying $21. I think at the start of the year, as a player he was at the start, he'd probably been paying about $36 or $40, but $21 is obviously some good odds there. I've just realised Dylan's buying out to 18. Matt?
Yeah, I'm going to go see, for me, honourable mention to Regan. I think Regan will be up there. I think this is the game he's been looking forward to the most, obviously. But I'm just going to say straight up Mitch. I just think Mitch is working his way for something. I think
His moment.
He's been criticised a lot. He's finally in the big dance. Just gave birth, just had a kid. He's on that. Yeah.
You're the first person to say that to me. Someone said to me at halftime in the game the other day, "Oh, Mitchell just had a kid," and I said, "It looks pretty good for someone who's just had a kid."
Yeah. So I think, becoming a father, he's on the emotional roller coaster, and I just think he's going to walk out to that atmosphere and just turn up.
It's the biggest crowd he's played in front of.
Yeah.
It's the biggest crowd most of the players have played in front of.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully, I reckon he'll run rings around Nathan.
Cool. All right.
Just quickly for those wondering, as well as we've mentioned our Clive Churchill as well as their prices. For those wondering, obviously we were massive outsiders and we've had all that doubt over us all season. So I placed these two bets on the 5th of September. So Reid Marnie, obviously now paying $34 to get that Clive Churchill medal, which is some huge value. He makes those big tackles in the middle against those big men. Back this time, pretty much the end of last month, he was at $71. And Clint Gutherson, who I mentioned being at $11 as of the 5th of September, was at $51 odds. So for our boys to go down, these odds are huge.
Remember, gamble responsibly. All right,
Absolutely.
I'll wrap us up again. That's all we've got time for. Obviously, get out there, Blue and Gold Army. Get the Parra before, after. Let's celebrate this. It's been a long time coming, and it's our time to shine.
Been a long time.
In a long time. Go Parra.
Come on, Parra.
Oh.